The lights dim, the orchestra breathes in, and all eyes turn to the stage. On this night, October 22nd, a chapter in American ballet history comes to a close. Misty Copeland, the dancer who shattered ceilings, redefined beauty, and changed what a ballerina could look like, will take her final bow with the American Ballet Theatre. For 25 years, she's been the embodiment of grace, resilience, and defiance against tradition. Her farewell performance isn't just another curtain call. It's the end of an era, one that sparked conversations far beyond the ballet stage. But as the curtain falls, one question rises higher than ever. After Misty Copeland leaves, what happens next? When Misty Copeland joined the American Ballet Theatre, few could have predicted the cultural shift she would ignite. In 2015, she made history as the first Black woman to become a principal dancer in ABT's then 75-year history, a moment celebrated not only in the world of ballet, but across American culture. To many, her promotion represented progress, a long-overdue acknowledgement that talent transcends race and body type. But a decade later, that promise still feels unfulfilled. Today, as Copeland, now 43, retires, there isn't a single Black female principal dancer at ABT. The symbolism of her ascent was powerful, but the reality of what followed reveals how deeply the roots of exclusivity still run in ballet. Teresa Howard, a former member of the Dance Theater of Harlem and founder of the digital archive Memoirs of Blacks in Ballet, believes that Copeland's story cannot be told in isolation. To understand Misty Copeland, you have to understand the cultural landscape she rose from, Howard says. Her rise coincided with a turbulent yet transformative time in America, the early 2010s. When the Black Lives Matter movement was gaining momentum and conversations about racial representation were breaking into mainstream consciousness. In that context, Copeland's success was not just personal triumph. It became a symbol of hope and visibility for Black dancers everywhere, a sign that change was not only possible, it was necessary. Her breakout moment came in 2012, when she starred as the Firebird, a role that demanded both athletic strength and emotional depth. The timing was serendipitous. The dance world was still grappling with its own lack of diversity. The Dance Theater of Harlem, long a beacon for Black dancers, had just returned from an 8-year hiatus. On stages where few faces of color were seen, Copeland's image, powerful, poised, unapologetically different, was electrifying. She wasn't just performing, she was rewriting the visual language of ballet. Soon, her reach extended beyond the stage. Magazine covers, TV commercials, and even performances with Prince made her a household name, a crossover star in a world that had rarely welcomed outsiders. But visibility came with scrutiny. Ballet, often described as the most traditional of art forms, had a narrow definition of what a ballerina should look like: willowy, ethereal, and for much of its history, white. Misty Copeland challenged all of it. She was shorter, more muscular, with a body that radiated power rather than fragility. She spoke openly about her ambition to break the color barrier at ABT, using her voice to highlight the lack of diversity in the field. Her openness, her willingness to name the problem, was itself revolutionary. Yet while she stood at the top, she remained an exception. Proof that one woman's success cannot dismantle a system built over centuries. In her memoir, Life in Motion, An Unlikely Ballerina, Copeland revealed how isolating it was to be a little brown-skinned girl in a sea of whiteness. Early in her career, she was typecast as the earthy character, often assigned roles outside the classical canon. Even then, she refused to fade into the background. She advocated for dancers of color, speaking out about the need for inclusivity in everything from casting to costumes. In 2023, she went viral for sharing how she paints her pointe shoes to match her skin tone, a simple act that sparked a wider conversation about representation in dancewear. For many young dancers of color, these gestures were more than symbolic. They were an invitation to belong. As Copeland prepares to step away, the timing feels significant. Across the arts, diversity and inclusion efforts are facing pushback. Public funding is shrinking, and many institutions that once made bold commitments to representation are quietly stepping back. The American Ballet Theater, without a black female principal or soloist, now faces the question of continuity. Has the progress made in Copeland's time taken root deeply enough to endure without her? Teresa Howard remains cautiously optimistic. "We're having more informed conversations about race, history, and access," she says. "We understand now that the lack of black dancers wasn't coincidence. It was exclusion. And that awareness, once awakened, doesn't disappear. Even in retirement, Misty Copeland isn't done changing ballet. In 2021, she founded the Misty Copeland Foundation, creating the Be Bold program to bring dance education to children who might never otherwise step into a studio. For her, this is legacy work, ensuring that access to ballet isn't limited by race or income. Black and brown communities are interested, she told the New York Times. They just need to see themselves. As the curtain falls on her final performance, the echoes of her journey will linger, not just in the movements she perfected, but in the doors she opened. Misty Copeland redefined what a ballerina could look like. The question now isn't whether her influence will fade. It's whether the world of ballet will have the courage to keep the stage open for those who follow.